can I assume that if developers choose to insert the configuration file modifications in the application logs, then the combination of application logs and the audio logs are enough for the functional analysis of configuration-based attacks?
Okay, so you're saying like if application logs were to log every configuration change events, then then we'll be able to get the same information that we're getting right now,
yes.
Right? So in an ideal world, if developers were to log every configuration change log event, basically within the application event log, within the application logs, you can say that in that particular case, you can use the application logs in combination with system logs to kind of like reconstruct the attacks. But as we observed that, first of all, like this is not a typical practice. And as I mentioned during our survey, we surveyed 18 different applications, and none of those applications were making any configuration changelog events. And secondly, like developers, it's not a simple task for the developers to kind of find all the sites within the program where the configuration variables are getting updated. So if anything, our tool can be used by developers to kind of like add those application event logs or add those instrumentations within the application to kind of specify where these configuration variables are getting updated. So yeah, basically.
Okay, thanks.
I was wondering do you think it's at all possible, or totally unreasonable to make a tool that's general enough like this that could also be used to roll back? So rolling back to like a safe configuration after an attack has occurred. For files, it's maybe more obvious what that would mean, but for like in-memory variables, it's not obvious, and I wonder if you thought about that with your tools at all.
Okay, that is an interesting point. So as of now, this is purely an investigation tool. So it's not basically reacting to any situation. It's more about like just providing enough information for attack reconstruction. But like since we are making logs of every configuration change that's happening within the system, possibly it should be able to kind of roll back to a configuration state. And yeah, this could be something that we can explore in the future. So yeah, thanks for it.
Could you share us some insights about the manual effort? For example, when you do the annotation, for example, your site, how much manual effort you need to really deploy this kind of tool?
Okay, yeah. So that's usually like a concern that people have, like how much manual annotation is required. So what we saw was that while analyzing these different applications, we analyzed like various open source applications like MySQL, Redis, and we saw that these configuration variables are usually stored in well-defined data structures. So there's like data structures that they're not that difficult to extract from the application. And due to these well-defined interfaces, the manual annotation efforts that are required from the system administrators are not that demanding. And in terms of like trying to identify how much time is required, we made one of our authors to kind of go through an application and try to identify the configuration variables, or basically the data structures which are responsible for storing that information. And I think it took our author around like 30 minutes on average to kind of like get that information. So it's a one-time effort, and it's not that you have to basically do that for every variable. It's usually like more structured than that.